Hey there, it's Scott from MindSwitch. Quick question for you. What are you going to be doing in retirement? Actually, let's change that question because I hate that word retirement. What are you going to be doing in your next phase of your life? Most people, unfortunately, give more thought they do to a vacation than they do that next phase or the word formerly known as retirement. And it comes along with all kinds of issues when people have identity loss, loss of purpose, loss of social networks, loss of mental acuity and physical health. My question has always been, and I've been working with professional athletes in the Canadian military for a decade now, in people transitioning to the next phase of their lives. And the answer of why that happens always comes back to, if you don't use it, you lose it. And that particularly happens when you get to be like me, where I'm almost 60, where, if I think back to when I was in my teens and my 20s, my body was just vibrating with energy. I mean, I remember sitting in school and not being able to sit. There was just too much energy. And my body would take me to all kinds of cool things. And sometimes, embarrassingly, it took me to places I didn't want to go. But, fast forward a few decades and all of a sudden, in your 50s and 60s and maybe even in your 40s, the energy level coming from your body, which is driving what you did in life, switches. And what is up here in your mind tape, what you envision, takes control. And what we do as adults that are aging is often we stop leaning forward into life. We don't stretch our comfort zones. I remember, in my 20s, I started in commercial banking, hated wearing the suit. So I went away and I thought, if I could do anything, what would I want to do? And I ended up creating Canada's largest endangered animal sanctuary. A very cool life that I feel privileged to have been a part of. I got to take in abandoned circus animals, exotic pets, and do rehab work for them. And you're probably seeing Micah on the screen now, a young Siberian tiger. And I remember in a typical day, energy-wise, that I'd get up at 6 in the morning, I'd water and feed, I'd drive an hour and a half to Toronto, and then I'd do 4 one-hour presentations in front of 200 or 300 people. Hated speaking, by the way, so that's another story. And then I'd even do an evening presentation, drive home, take care of the animals all over again, do the paperwork to keep the business together, and then go to sleep for 6 hours and do it all over again. And I do that 6 days a week. A lot of work, but we could do it because I was being motivated by passion and by purpose. Now I do confess that in my 30s and 40s, I let life sag a little bit in terms of leaning in. Isn't that the time though, with family and kids and all that kind of stuff? Then on my 50th birthday, some friends suggested, why don't you do this thing called the Tough Mudder? Now, if you haven't heard of the Tough Mudder, it's a British commando obstacle course, about 19 kilometers, 12 miles for our US friends through all kinds of, you can see on the picture here, climbing over walls, mud, barbed wire. And it was reactivating the body in a way that I hadn't done it for 20 years. And at first, it didn't want to respond, but slowly it kept going and going to the point where last year, not in this past COVID year, but in 2019, completed our 10th Tough Mudder. Okay, that's what MindSwitch is all about. Whether your next phase in your life is new adventures, new learnings, new experiences, MindSwitch helps you lean forward into that. And that's so critically important to maintain your vitality. We have so much potential still inside of us, except we need this to allow this to be activated for that. And whether that means, outrageous adventures for you, going down the Amazon River or hot air ballooning, or maybe it's a longer health span where you really want to keep yourself fit and shape so that in your 70s and 80s, you're still rocking whatever activity you want to do. Maybe you have some new career aspirations. It's a passion career, or maybe it's just sort of to help supplement your income. Or maybe what you're really interested in and haven't even thought about yet is creating a living legacy for yourself. What does that look like? That's what MindSwitch helps people to do. And the cool thing is, your best days, your best years, your best decades are still in front of you for so many reasons. If you'd like to find out what we're about our community, just click the button in the description below and you can subscribe to our free podcast. You deserve the most fully active life of phase 2 that you can possibly have. You've worked hard for it. I look forward to seeing you in the inside.